Hey everyone, this is just a quick little intro. The podcast is going to come up here in a few seconds. Just wanted to let you know that we got copyrighted. I had the trailer running, looping throughout this entire thing so that you could pause and play along with us as we broke down that trailer. So this is actually a re-uploaded version of the same video, same everything. I just want to let you guys know that some of the conversation might not quite match what you're seeing now. We're going to be talking as if you're watching the video with us because you would have been. So of course you're not now. So just wanted to let you know that if you do want to follow along with us, if this is your first time watching it, just go ahead and pull up a second tab real quick and click on that and let us know what if that works for you. I do apologize, but I don't know, they weren't having it. We weren't allowed to have that trailer. So just a little quick intro to let you know about that. So here it is, episode 1 of the Holocron.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Taylor and Ian from Zerohp. This is the first official episode of our Star Wars podcast that we're going to be doing now, called The Holocron, a Star Wars podcast. Fancy name. So, as some of you may have known, if you're a Star Wars fan, I hope you would have known, the new Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens trailer dropped last night for Monday Night Football. And we're kind of going to be giving our first impressions of it and our kind of review and reactions. So if you do have the trailer up, I suggest you watch it with us, or if you want, just go ahead and give us a listen. But Ian, how you doing?
Heavy breathing. I was breathing into the mic there for a little bit. Like, I wonder if this will pick it up. I was like, dear God. Well, and the thing was funny. Last night I was frantically, because I wasn't watching Monday Night Football because I don't really care about the Eagles or the Giants that much.
No, me neither.
And so, I wasn't watching halftime because I don't know, I don't have regular TV and it's kind of a bitch for me to get on. So I was like, I knew it was going to come out. And as soon as everyone started saying, oh my God, it was so good, I was freaking out, trying to get onto YouTube, constantly hitting F5 on YouTube. I know it's going to pop up. Yeah. Just waiting for it. And then you're like, well, I just shared it on Facebook.
Yeah,
and that was that.
I made everything a lot easier.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously it was incredible. We're going to get down into it. And this whole podcast is going to be set to all 3 of the released trailers, the tiny little trailer, the teaser we got way back when, and then the official first 2 trailers. So you can be watching those as we talk about everything. Or, I don't know, we haven't decided yet. Maybe we'll just have that same trailer going over and over so we can see exactly what we're talking about. But either way, feast your eyes on what I think will be the number 1 box office movie of all time.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started, and we'll go ahead and start with the first official trailer, full length, that came out last night, just so we can get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and open up to the first frame, and the first shot I'm looking at is Rey, and it looks like she kind of has like her Jakku like sand gear up, and she's got the goggles and everything, looking into something on that. What we assume, we're pretty sure, we don't even have to really assume that's that giant Star Destroyer that's crashed out in the distance from the other trailers. So I think it looks really cool. This is definitely some gear we haven't seen her wear in anything else in the trailers. That the staff prominent again. I have my own speculations for what that might be, but I think it's just a really cool shot. Like, you don't really see a lot of shots like these in Star Wars for some reason. Like, I don't know, just the way the cinematography is. Looks really different.
I feel like it's already, just with the first shot, Abrams is already saying, okay, the prequels were clean and pretty and sterile, and we're going back to the lived-in, dirtied-up, actual universe of Star Wars.
Exactly.
And you can just feel that throughout the whole trailer, but right off the bat, first shot, she's dirty, it's all gross, and like it's dust everywhere, and
there's dust in the air.
Yeah, and it's just great. And it opens with that music, and oh God, it's just
great.
Even the first shot is like enough.
Exactly. So then she's got that thing where she's looking in, and then the second part we're looking at is she's kind of on top of what looks like some kind of engine or like exhaust port.
Right.
I don't know. What can you make of that, maybe?
Yeah. Looking at it, I mean, it's a little hard to tell because you can think of how the Star Destroyer is lying in the ground. If you look to her left, there's a hallway, it looks like, and that's and it's like the floor has kind of collapsed.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever was underneath the floor there. And obviously, because you can see the ship in your mind, it's downward. It's the back of the ship where the thrusters are up, pointing toward the sky.
Yeah.
So she is when as we continue this video a little bit, just in the next frame here, and she's on the rope, she's going down toward the front of the ship.
Yeah. Wow, how cool does that shot look too, where she's kind of like rappelling down that like weird hallway? Like for some reason this opening scene, just how like decrepit the Star Destroyer looks, reminds me like oddly of like Alien or something.
Yeah.
Something not Star Wars, but Star Wars at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like this, and this I could be totally wrong, but I feel like this is actually going to be the opening scene in the film.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Like I can just see the original thing coming up, and then do down onto the Jakku, and then that door popping open, and that being like the first thing we see in the film. Obviously, we don't know, but I just feel like this is the first scene.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. I think it'll be one of the first scenes, if not the first.
And then that audio right there, as she goes through the hangar, that a woman is saying, "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What's that? Who is that?
Well, some people have speculated one of two things. Some people are saying that might be the first voice we hear of Leia in the trailer.
Okay.
Which is definitely valid. However, I think it is a different character. I think that it is this alien creature named Maz Kanata.
The pirate.
The pirate, yeah. And I think she hasn't really been like portrayed prominently in anything we've seen yet.
No,
we'll have to wait until the movie comes out.
Fully CG character.
Yeah, played by Lupita Nyong'o, who is a great actress. I know the last thing I saw her in was 12 Years a Slave, but she is the mocap for that. So right. I personally think that's what it is on my end. Is I think it's Maz Kanata, but some people could say it's Leia too. What do you think about it?
I've heard the Maz Kanata theory more. I know for a fact that Leia speaks later in this trailer.
Yes.
So we might have to go back and watch it again and see and try to compare the two voices, but it's hard to say.
Okay.
Hard to say.
One thing too, as far as audio goes on the trailer too, let me know, because I'm looking through the trailer right now on like a silent mute just so I can see the frames.
Same.
Let me know when they speak or something so I can remember it, because I'm not totally sure. So.
Yeah, well, if you know what, and I can play it right now, just this little portion of the "Who Are You" thing, and we can kind of listen to it.
Okay.
All right, let me do that.
Who are you?
So I don't know. I don't think that sounds like Leia.
No, because it has a very like I don't know, just it sounds like an alien voice.
It does, and it sounds a little weird, and yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then we go into the desert, of course, where Rey answers.
I'm no one.
And we see BB-8 traveling with her in the desert.
Oh, that's just such a great shot right there. That was one of the best parts of the trailer. I think it gave me like goosebumps. For sure.
Yeah, and they're going back again. I feel like J.J. Abrams is obviously he's making a new story, but he's clearly drawing a lot of very simple themes from the original films. Like, I mean, obviously Rey is not no one, and it's like that whole modest, like from modest beginnings, kind of like from dirt poor living on Jakku to whatever she's going to become.
Yeah, the hero of this new story, which I think we all assume she's probably going to be the main character or the Luke Skywalker of this trilogy, you know?
Yeah, we'll see. It's either that or Finn, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, you know what's funny, actually, since I think we're looking at the scene right now where they're walking through the desert with BB-8, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so funny thing I actually heard from somebody else was that, and I didn't even think about this either, but I remember watching all of the old like making of The New Hope and all the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And how much of a pain in the ass they said it was to get R2-D2 to walk on sand. For some reason, this shot, looking at BB-8 kind of rolling across the desert, totally seems like BB-8 was almost created to walk on sand.
They don't have to deal with that crap.
So they wouldn't have to do. Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't have to deal with the fucking rolly legs that R2-D2 has. I thought that was funny and worth sharing.
When they filmed, that's hilarious because when they filmed that, they filmed it in Tunisia, and they had the worst wind and dust storms that area of Tunisia had recorded in like 30 years.
Yeah, it's a given.
That's
That's
crazy.
funny.
So,
All right.
so they go rolling along. She says, "I'm no one," and then it fades into. Now, what is this ship here in the sky that you're seeing? Looks like a blockade runner.
It kind of does, yeah. Like it reminds me of the ship from A New Hope, right in the beginning. The cruiser that Prince Leia is on.
Right.
I think this shot, and this might be getting too deep or whatever, so I don't know. But my speculation is like this scene is just to kind of show like her determination to get off this planet, or her like determination to do something more.
Right.
A lot of people are speculating that that's the ship that Finn will inevitably crash on, but it's not a TIE fighter, and I think that he's definitely going to crash via TIE fighter.
Yeah, because in the previous trailer, not this one, the previous trailer, we see that TIE fighter in the hangar bay blowing up all the stormtroopers and shooting into the hangar.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you think that that's probably Finn escaping in the TIE fighter, and then he gets, and then we see another part of that later. So I'm sure that's it. Is that a AT-AT foot right here on the right?
Yes, that is definitely one.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
All right, so we'll continue through the trailer here. The ship comes up, and then we see Rey kind of crack a smile here. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of showing like her like she's becoming the Luke, you know, where she's like, there's something better for me out there. There's something more than just being, you know, a scavenger or a moisture farmer for the original trilogy. And I think she's going to have that same will to want to leave the planet as much as Luke did back in the day.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's definitely makes sense. You kind of show that symbol right off the bat. So then we go through the Lucasfilm Limited thing here, and then of course we get to my what I'm looking forward to, which is Legions of Imperial Soldiers.
Wow, and this is a shot that we've seen before in other trailers, but it just looks so, I don't know, there's something so much better about it this time around.
I was ready to do one thing.
Okay, this is my thing for me. Like I'm excited about everything, of course, but I'm so excited and like probably most intrigued and curious, and I just can't wait to know more about Finn's character.
I do too. There's definitely like, you think you know a lot about him from what's come out, but I still feel like I don't know as much about him.
And this trailer is like shows us a lot of stuff from him that's like, wow, okay. You know, yeah. I mean, we'll get to it, but it makes it even more intriguing. I cannot wait to learn more about this character. Do you have anything about Finn, like at all, that you've found or read or anything other than white racists saying that it's a black anti-white movie?
Yeah, fucking ridiculous. I was thinking about bringing that up, honestly, but, you know, it's not even worth it.
It's not. It's just so amazing. But yeah, and I can't wait for Finn. I'm so excited. What are some of your theories for Finn's character coming up?
So actually, when the first ever episode 7 teaser had come out, I had like already, because anytime I ever see a trailer, my theory mind kind of kicks into gear.
Sure.
And that's when I start formulating what I think is going to be the plot. It's a terrible thing, but I just can't help it. So my theory about Finn's character when we had first seen him in the Stormtrooper armor was, for some reason, I thought he was pulling like a Luke Skywalker, Han Solo in Episode 4 thing where they actually dress up as stormtroopers and they're kind of in disguise.
Right.
That's what I kind of thought of at first. I was like, why does everybody just kind of assume that he's a stormtrooper because he's just wearing the armor? Like, he could have disguised himself. He's using it as a disguise to get off the ship or whatever. But definitely don't think that anymore. Now it's definitely pretty much confirmed he is a stormtrooper and will be an ex-stormtrooper by the time the movie ends. And I'm really stoked to see what his character holds, because in a lot of different media we see him holding that blaster, you know. Yep. But then in some of the newer stuff we've seen, he has Anakin's lightsaber. I mean, yeah. I've heard a lot of debate that, you know, it's Anakin's lightsaber or it's Luke's lightsaber, from whoever you want to ask. But I personally, from a canon standpoint, that's Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird. I can't like really pinpoint his character. Is he going to be a Force sensitive, or is he just kind of using the lightsaber on the spur of the moment, or I don't know, what's some of your kind of theories on that?
Yeah, just first too, I think I'm really glad that it wasn't just a dress up and that he was a stormtrooper, because I know a lot of this won't count now because a lot of the canon was thrown away, but I've always been so curious to see stuff from stormtroopers because, according to like a lot of the extended universe stuff, which of course doesn't count anymore, but
Right.
stormtroopers were like Spartans, like they were like mentally like drilled to the point where they had zero emotion on the battlefield, and you know what I mean, like the conditioning, like psychological conditioning to the point where they almost weren't human while on the battlefield, and then like off of the battlefield they were like back to being. So there's a lot of really cool stuff, and I can't wait to see what they bring to what being a stormtrooper is, because before that it's really they're just guys who get shot.
Cannon fodder, yeah.
Yeah, and I've always hated that. That's the only one thing I've ever had a problem with Star Wars is like, how did this giant empire rule the galaxy with a bunch of idiots as soldiers and pilots? So I'm hoping they make them a little bit more formidable. I want to be scared of the empire. When the empire shows up, it shouldn't be like, oh, whatever. Their pilots will fly into walls anyways. Like, I really
Yeah.
hope like they're supposed to be the most skilled pilots in the galaxy, and these soldiers are like steel nerved killers. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think that's one of the things they'll definitely change for this new trilogy. They're definitely going to make the stormtroopers kind of, like you said, more formidable and like better fighters overall, and they're going to be more menacing when they're on screen than they used to be, where it was just kind of you thought, oh, blast them, and then they miss every single shot.
open the blast doors. Open the blast doors.
Yeah,
Close the blast doors. It's like, oh my god, it's just so pathetic. But I hope, and I'm actually hoping that Finn is like the main character, and I would love to see him become a Jedi and become Luke's apprentice and all that. I don't know if any of that's gonna happen, but just seeing him at the end of this trailer with that lightsaber, I was like, oh, that's so cool. This stormtrooper turned Jedi. Like, what a cool, what a cool thing. So I hope that's what happens. But we'll go ahead and. Do you have anything else about Finn like right now that you want to go over at all, or should I continue the trailer?
No, we can go ahead and continue, and I'll go ahead and look at the next scene here.
Okay.
And the next scene we see is of that TIE fighter.
Yep.
I've got nothing to fight for.
Yeah, and the next scene is we see that TIE fighter crashing to the planet
Yep.
of Jakku. And then we kind of see Finn is walking towards the city, which we assume that Daisy Ridley's character, Rey, is staying, and he kind of has his jacket off, and he's looking like he's thirsty and out of breath. Not anything new from any of the other trailers. He's pretty much out of breath in every frame we've seen him in.
Yeah, it's popping up into the camera, all scared looking.
Yeah, so that's cool. I've actually seen. I remember seeing concept art of this city when Star Wars Episode 7 was first going into production.
Oh wow!
And I remember actually seeing. I'll be curious to see it in the movie, but I remember actually seeing in the concept art there were actually pod racers, like crashed pod racers and stuff. Like, in that city, and in another part in the trailer I'll talk about later, there's kind of another reference sort of to pod racing, but I think that's kind of a cool callback to kind of bring the series together.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of that pod race is one of my favorite kind of action scenes from any of the 6 films.
Yeah. So we know like they're not going to have like a strong prequel presence in these movies. There's not going to be a lot of callbacks, and nor should they. I mean, that was like 60, 80 years ago. As far as this new, this is 30 years after the Return of the Jedi, so I don't expect there to be a lot of, prequel references or anything like that. So, but it's nice that maybe if they add that in there, that kind of brings the whole trilogy together, and it's kind of like a through line,
Yeah, because I mean, pod racing is a cultural in the Star Wars universe is a galaxy-wide cultural sporting event, so it makes sense. It's probably something that was banned by the Empire, just because the Empire just bans everything.
Yeah.
Too many aliens involved.
Yeah, exactly. Alienist or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what do you call that? Speciest or I don't know what you call that.
I'm not even sure.
Human only.
Because I assume if it's specious, that means it's like on that planet. But I don't know. it's different. It's a new type of alien racism, I guess. Let's call
Right.
it that.
Anyone they're just non-human. They do not, Empire does not do non-human, so it's all they know. Okay, so we'll go ahead and continue the trailer here from that point. There's the city. All right, we'll pause here for a second as we enter the, and obviously everyone who's might be listening, feel free to follow along with us as we're talking about this. Where right now we just stopped on the frame with the classic Abrams lens flare
Yeah.
through the window, which I never mind. I've always liked lens flares, actually.
No, I don't mind. I've seen people complaining about it, but it's
yeah.
like, really?
Yeah, but it is something that's always J.J. Abrams has had in a lot of things he's directed, like TV shows, Star Trek. I mean, it's definitely a thing that he likes to put in his shows and films.
Yeah,
it's a signature.
Whatever.
I think it's cool looking. I like the cinematography of that.
Yeah.
So clearly on the deck on the bridge here of a Star Destroyer. What do you have anything in particular for this you want to go over right off the bat?
Yeah, so this actually is the bridge of what I assume is going to be the new Death Star of this movie, or this trilogy is actually called Star Killer Base, is what they're calling it. And if you can kind of look to like the right of the screen, you'll see like a laser blast kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is what I assume is going to be the super weapon part of the space station that is actually going to not blow up just planets, but destroy entire solar systems.
By destroying the sun?
Yes. It's a star killer, so.
So you put out the sun and then everything plunges into darkness.
Well, yeah, and it's supernovas, and then, planets die, essentially.
Well, if that's the case, one thing I'm automatically going to question, and not that it's a bad thing, hopefully they'll answer it. The first thing that comes to my mind is, how does this crumbling empire with a dead emperor and a dead co-emperor, basically, with Vader, dead general, but he's like supreme commander of the military. So you've lost your supreme commander of the military, you've lost your emperor, you've lost your primary fleet, or at least one of your primary galactic fleets, and your Death Star. Where do you get the money to build a Star Killer?
No idea.
That's what I want to know.
Your guess is as good as mine, and just kind of like my personal opinion of this new trilogy is that I'm actually not big on them having another copycat Death Star, to be honest.
I certainly hope not.
One of the things that I was worried about going into the new saga is that, I mean, I'm totally for the new anything when it comes to Star Wars. So
right.
Movies, you and me, I'm sure we're ranting and raving about it. But the thing is that one thing I didn't want it to be going into this new trilogy was just a greatest hits of Star Wars where they go, hey, remember this thing in the old trilogy? Or like
updated.
Yeah, it's just like, it seems like a cop-out that it's like, now with this new movie coming out, I mean, obviously we don't know yet because we haven't seen the movie, but it's like, we built the first Death Star, and then we built the second one, and now 30 years later we built a new one, and it's just like, if it didn't work the first two times, I don't see how it's going to work this time. I mean, I'm sure they're not going to make another like structural thing like wrong with it as far as like shooting the 2 torpedoes into the exhaust port and blowing up the entire thing. But I don't know, it just seems like a lack. Like, it's the first thing from the news. Like, it just doesn't seem that original. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think you were cutting out a little bit there for a moment, Taylor, just at the last couple of seconds to let you know, because sorry, everybody, we're working over a Skype connection here. So
yeah,
again,
sorry about that.
It's okay. We didn't lose much. I mean, I think it probably last like 5 seconds of what you were saying right there. So I don't know if you want to sum up maybe one more time what you were just saying about don't create another structure with a weakness, another Death Star copycat.
Yeah, I was just basically saying that I would have liked to have seen something more original other than another Death Star and something that's not a greatest hits of the original trilogy. Yeah. That's kind of what I was nervous about. So then I was asking, what's your opinion on that whole thing?
I couldn't agree more with that. I that's why I was hoping to see kind of this whole Imperial remnant sort of thing where they're still powerful, they're still there, but they're going to have to be more creative with, they don't have the resources anymore to build something like that. And at least that's what I would have thought. It's going to be more about they're going to be almost like the rebels were before, like hit and run tactics and like, and
guerrilla warfare and
yeah,
stuff like
and
that.
like and trying to get favor from other all these planets. I'm sure that as bad as the Empire was made to look in the original trilogy, I'm sure that in the universe there were plenty of people who are making plenty of money and power throughout through the Empire's influence, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who would like to see the rise of the Empire again.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They have some sort of wealthy beneficiaries that are, I'm sure, funding what they're doing. But
right, so
even if they did, you would. I mean, we probably won't see it in the movie because they're trying to fix what the prequels did, and I'm sure that doesn't make for the most interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not going to go into those details, but I don't even mean like necessarily just funding, but just I'm sure that the Empire has back the First Order, the New Order, the First Order has like backing of people who want to see that culture rise again, the pro-human, militaristic like kind of a thing. So I'm just curious to see how they do that, how they, it's almost like another civil war in a way between people who want Republic and people who want Empire, and who's going to come to whose side. I think that's an interesting thing we'll see over the next few films. But you want to go ahead and just continue the trailer here into the little voiceover from
Yes.
Kylo here? Okay.
So far.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
I'll finish what you started, and we get a frame of Vader's melted helmet. Take it away, Taylor.
That definitely is one of the standouts of the trailer for sure. Like I even just listening to it through the computer speakers, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
God, I know.
And this is kind of it's not the. I guess it's the first official time we've actually heard Kylo Ren's voice.
It is, yes.
And I'm pretty impressed. I actually thought it was going to sound less intimidating or less menacing, but it sounds. I mean, it's different than Darth Vader's for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure they're different.
Yeah, and it's a good different. I don't know. It sounds really cool. Just one thing I was thinking about too is like he said, I wanted to finish what you started, and then it kind of got me thinking, what exactly did Vader start?
Right.
Other than he was hunting Jedi for years and years. Like, is he continuing the hunt to kill Jedi? Any like light side Force users? So that's kind of the question I have is like, because anything that was started by the Empire wasn't really started by Vader. It was only helped. So sure. I don't know. What's your kind of opinion on that comment?
Well, I agree with you. I think we know a lot more than some of these characters know. Because later in the trailer we see a few things that suggest this too, where we'll hear Han talking to either Finn or Rey about how it's all true.
That's right, yeah.
And so it's almost like, in this 30 years where obviously there isn't really any ruling force any longer to spin a narrative, Imperial or Republic. Everyone's probably doing their own thing while they're trying to set up a government or whatever in the wake of the war. And so it's almost like, and that happened, Endor is on the ass end of the galaxy if you look at a map. Mm-hmm. So I mean, who knows what the rest of the galaxy actually found out about everything that happened? I'm sure the Empire covered up the death, at least for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe
it's confirmed, I think, that they did try to cover up the Emperor's death.
Yeah.
When it did happen.
So it makes you think, okay, so maybe Kylo and everyone else has kind of this like bent view of what actually took place, and it's almost like these people are like legends now. I mean, Vader is like almost like this revered. You can see his helmet's on this pedestal, almost like a religious thing.
Yeah.
And so at that point, who knows what you could make up that he started, in their eyes.
That's true, and I that's a great point too. I didn't even think about it really, is because when it comes to the fanaticism that Kylo Ren is showing, it could honestly be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are fanatics like that, like even the parallel to like a real life like religious fanatic or something along those lines is like they'll make up what kind of ends to their mean. They're like they'll make up what makes the history to fuel their own beliefs, and it's kind of like I definitely agree that's something that could definitely happen.
I'd be very interested to see how that. Is there anything else you want to touch on with that right now, or should I go ahead and push forward?
No, we'll go ahead and go forward.
Alrighty. I have to freeze it right here. Visual for those that aren't watching with us. Kylo Ren has his hand over Oscar Isaac's character, Poe Dameron.
Mm-hmm.
What is? Do you have anything about this one that you could fill in for us?
So this, I think, is definitely part of some kind of torture-esque scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're trying to get information out of Poe. I know from the little tidbits they've given us from like Comic-Con and stuff like that. From what we know of Poe's character, Oscar Isaac, I remember, was quoted saying that he was given a quote-unquote special mission by a certain princess. So, my mind automatically assumes Princess Leia.
I think that's sort of definitely mission. It, yeah.
And I think this might be the fallout of them intercepting him on doing his mission and digging in for more information.
Yeah, can't argue with that. And I just have to say, a little bit off the subject matter here, I absolutely love Oscar Isaac. He is amazing. And I don't know if you saw Deus Ex Machina, but he was just so incredible in that. And that makes me so excited to see him in this film.
Oh, yeah, he's a great actor. Actually, another movie I saw him in really recently was Drive. And he plays kind of like a secondary character. And that movie came out in like 2011, but I had just watched it for the first time this year, and it became one of my favorite movies, like instantly. And he's got a really cool part in the movie. If any of you out there haven't seen Ex Machina or Drive, check them out. Oscar Isaac's fantastic in both of them. So
yeah, it'll be a nice way to kind of catch up on some of his material and see what. I almost feel like he's going to be kind of our new Han Solo, and I don't want to draw too many comparisons that are that easy, because these are their own characters in their own rights. But just based on Oscar Isaac and like what I've seen him play in other films and stuff, he just I don't know. I feel like he's going to have that like kind of that sarcastic, very overconfident kind of a pilot kind of a guy,
He does, yeah. I think we've seen little brief hints about his character too from Oscar Isaac. I remember also saying at Comic-Con, he was saying he's the best damn pilot in the galaxy. Something like that.
There you go.
So there's your window into what his personality will be for sure.
Exactly. All right. Should I move on from this point?
Yes.
All right.
There are stories about what happened.
So, okay, there we go for what we were talking about earlier. I think that's Rey, right, saying that?
Yes.
There's stories about what happened. They're just stories.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty interesting. And that little clip there, we saw a forest like exploding like a nuclear blast.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure is the demonstration of what this new Star Killer base is going to be capable of.
Okay. Then we see the Millennium Falcon getting chased by TIE fighters, and the TIE fighters actually not crashing into the wreckage, which I appreciate.
Yeah, this scene just looks fantastic.
God, I know.
I mean, from all the people out there who were saying, like, this is going to be like an all practical effects movie, and this is definitely some of the best CGI work that looks like it could be done.
It's going to be, as we've talked about before, the best movies are a good mix. That the movies that rely 100% on CGI are terrible, but if you don't have any, it's noticeable as well. So that's certainly not a huge deal.
And you really have the problem of looking fake on either side. If you have too many practical effects, it's going to look fake. If you have too many CGI effects, it's going to look like you're standing in front of a green screen the whole time.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference to most films that don't do CGI right are sets.
Yeah,
you need to have real sets. I mean, unless you're like Lord of the Rings, which those I don't know how they created a lot of that stuff was done on green screen somehow. But for the most films, you can tell when the actors are not even on sets at all. They're just on like rubber mats and surrounded by green everywhere, and that's it.
Yeah.
Another issue that I kind of took with a lot of the episodes 1 through 3, I think there was just a little too much of that sometimes. Nothing looked real after a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's definitely way too much CGI, and it was hard for the actors back then to even really act. That's why I kind of give Hayden Christensen a break, and I
Sure.
give all the other actors a break, is because George just kind of put him in front of a green screen, and there's no set to really work off of, and it was like, well, let's see how you do. Just kind of say this line,
Yeah.
and it was like that. That's a prequels in a nutshell. So.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. A lot of good ideas, just never executed quite where they should have been.
Yeah.
So I'll back this up a little bit, and we'll play through that line again in this little scene, and we'll stop it at the end.
Okay.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
It's true, all of it.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got to see it, like another good shot of Harrison Ford as Han Solo in this trailer.
Yeah, they already gave him away, so why not a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm just so glad to see him back. Out of any of the, I have a feeling out of any of the big three that'll be returning, we'll definitely be seeing him for most part of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be right in there all the time because obviously we're going to meet his kids, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a whole new aspect there
Mm-hmm.
that we didn't get to see. So that'll be interesting. It was just nice to see the inside of the Millennium Falcon there for just a moment. You could see the hallway and the table where the hologram is. And it's like, oh God, there it is. There's the inside of the Millennium Falcon again.
Yeah, it definitely gets that like nostalgia going, where you're just like, wow, I haven't seen this in so long, and to see it finally come back and with this new take on it, it's crazy to see some things that are just so like that were basically in antiquity now are like coming back and have this new fresh coat of paint on it. You know?
Oh, absolutely new characters, and I think that I'm hoping. And again, here I go. I get a little off subject sometimes, but I'm really hoping that somewhere near before or after. I would think before would make the most sense. They need to release the Blu-ray saga again.
I think so too.
And cut out the ending part. Like maybe even give us the originals. I know that that's like a big thing. I'm not like freaking out over the original versions. I don't mind some of the special edition stuff, but the Blu-ray is specifically added in that ending to Return of the Jedi where Vader starts screaming no, 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 and then throws the Emperor in. I think it's just ruined like the penultimate scene of the entire saga there. So I would love to see a set of like maybe all 6 movies on Blu-ray again. Just even if they just want to re-release it, whatever. And because I everyone's gonna watch all 6 before they come out. So
yeah,
just a little food for thought there. That'll be kind of cool. Keep your eyes out.
I think they're planning to. I know I saw there was some kind of bundle set where you can get all 6 movies, and they're in kind of those like steel jackets or whatever you call them.
Right, yeah, steel case.
And they're Blu-rays, but I think they're of the special editions, which I think are pretty good.
I don't mind them. Like the little bit of CGI, like TIE Fighters in Episode 4, I like that. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah,
it was really just that final line for me that like the reason that I did not buy the Blu-ray was for that.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to go over that little scene there, or do you want me to continue?
No, I think that's pretty much it. We kind of covered it, like you said, about the stories. They're all true, you said. They're stories now, and like kind of have faded. What happened 30 years ago in the Star Wars universe has kind of faded into myth. So
yeah, a galaxy is a big place, and if the communication doesn't stay up the way it normally does, you'd never know what's going on. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we'll go ahead and continue in the trailer here. Oh, I got to pause it right here. We're going to pause everything here. Boom. We've got what looks to be Kylo Ren surrounded by other similarly dressed badass dudes right now. Are these the Knights of Ren, Taylor?
These are indeed the Knights of Ren, I think. And if you kind of pause it on the shot, if you guys at home want to pause it too, you can see that each one of them has kind of like a different kind of weapon.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of oddly cool in a weird way. Like, Kylo Ren, at least from what we see, is the only one that looks like he has a lightsaber. If you look to the right, there's a guy that looks like he has some kind of gun.
He's got a blast. There's a guy with maybe a vibro staff in the behind.
Yeah. There's a dude in the back who has like a weird giant like anime looking sword almost that he's got hunched over his shoulder.
Yeah, I see that.
And
like a cleaver or something.
Yeah, and there's another guy next to Kylo Ren who almost looks like he has like a bowcaster of some sort. That's really cool. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is learning more about who the Knights of Ren are, because they're one of the new canon things that just has no explanation for it so far. Like there's nothing really on it. We know that Kylo Ren is one of the leaders of it, or like a prominent member, but other than that, we know absolutely nothing. Are these guys Sith? I know that, are these guys even Sith, or are they just kind of using the dark side to their own means? What kind of mystery do they have surrounding them? It's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I mean, it could be Ren is the head because he's the only one who actually is force sensitive and knows how to use. But you can't. There's no such thing as training yourself in the ways of using force powers for good or evil.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm curious about. Is like who. You don't build your own lightsaber and all this stuff by yourself. So someone else is here. Obviously, there's maybe Snoke could be. You have theories about him, so maybe he could teach him. But that's still a mystery as how he is, how he can have a lightsaber and do all this if there's no more Sith left. Obviously, there is, and then maybe the rest of these guys are like his. I don't know, his guards or like his close, like his his fellow knights of almost like the Round Table or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty interesting. You want me to continue the trailer?
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay.
The dark side.
Okay, so here we have Oscar Isaac, and after the amazing 3 seconds of battle scenes,
Oh yeah.
with stormtroopers out there fighting. Oh, I can't wait to see all the stormtroopers. But here we have Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, and then we have John Boyega here as Finn, and they're obviously they know each other at this point in the film. They're on that same planet the battle is taking place.
Yeah. You know what? One thing that makes me really curious is what planet is this? It looks very like Yavin-y, but like also not. Like I almost wonder if this is a planet we've seen before,
It
or
kind
if
of
it's a
reminds me
newer
a
one.
little bit of Kashyyyk.
Yeah, that too. Except without all the giant war shear trees or whatever they're called.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah, it's weird. I'm definitely curious as to what planet this is. Now, one thing I noticed about this shot in the trailer specifically, and maybe I'm looking too much into it or something, and let me know, I guess. But one thing I noticed about this scene with John Boyega and Oscar Isaac is if you kind of look at when Oscar Isaac touches John Boyega's shoulder, and he kind of looks back at him as they walk away from each other,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like there's something not right.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's like the tension of what's going on. They're kind of getting ready to go into battle, and everybody's manning their battle stations, but for some reason the look that John Boyega gives Oscar Isaac after he touches his shoulder and looks back at him, it's almost as if he feels like there's something not right, in the Force, or some kind of disturbance. I don't know. What do you make of that?
Maybe this is if we're following this theory that we have that maybe Finn will be our next Jedi learner. Maybe this is before Poe Dameron's character is captured, and it's right before. And so he touches his shoulder and he sees something, like him being tortured.
Yeah, some kind of vision, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, and he doesn't understand what to make of it. Something like that. I mean, we're really reaching there, but it's possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Always like.
I don't know, that's just something I kind of noticed. I don't know. It was just kind of something that I had to pause the trailer, watch it a couple times, and I thought there's something odd about this scene. I'm not quite sure, but.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they wouldn't show it if they didn't. You know what I mean? I mean, they're not going to give you anything away, but they wouldn't show it if it was just nothing. So.
Yeah.
We'll see here. Okay, we'll go ahead and continue here.
Alrighty.
The Jedi.
That fucking scene right there. Oh, that X-ray destroying that TIE fighter and that right for me, I just flipped out the first time I saw that. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like the dogfighting looks amazing in this new trilogy. Wow. Just the ships and everything are just even the the spaceship battles in the prequels like looked pretty damn cool. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in this new trilogy, like bar none, they just look amazing. I don't know.
I just think it's the classic ship designs. We all love X-wings and TIE fighters. It's just such a. It's just. It just. I don't know. There's something about it that just makes you a kid again. You know.
It really does. Yeah. In this new age, you know.
And there's no analysis needed. I just had to stop it because I love that, and I even rewound it so I can watch it one more time. Yeah. Okay. So a couple things here. One, we see that Rey and Finn are on the Millennium Falcon earlier in this trailer.
Yeah.
And then here they are. Sorry, I'm getting to that point right here. Let's see. There we go. TIE Fighter goes right over this building, blows this shit up. They're together. However that happens, they're together now. And I mean, Han probably saves them, right? I would assume somehow.
Yeah, I'd assume too. He somehow, if the theories are right that Rey is his daughter, I'm sure he's been on the look for her maybe or something to that effect. So he probably somehow tracks her down to Jakku, and then they kind of all regroup there and are able to escape somehow. At least that's what I think might happen.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's definitely because we just trying to connect the dots between the point where we see Rey by herself, Finn by herself, then we see them on the Millennium Falcon together, and then we see them together back here. So it's kind of like, okay, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, it's definitely an out of order shot, I assume.
Yes, so. Definitely out of order shot. Okay, so we'll go ahead and continue. The TIE Fighter flies over, blows this thing up here. Boom. Here we go, entering into this. I think this comes back to that character that we were speaking about earlier. This entrance to this building. We see this giant red robot and all these flags.
Yeah, okay. So this is kind of like a scene that I was pondering about for a bit, and I was actually... The thing that intrigues me about this shot with all the flags and stuff, some of those are actually pod racer flags that I've noticed. And then there's one flag, if you look at it,
right in the middle,
a Mandalorian symbol on it.
Yep. And
then there's another one. What was the other one? There was another one that had a symbol on it that I was like, that's something we know, I'll have to look at it again really closely, but for sure there's one that's a Mandalorian symbol, which makes me happy because I would love to see more of the Mandalorians in these new movies. There is a lot of people who, are speculating that if we ever do get some kind of Old Republic style movie or show in that vein, that they would cover the Mandalorian Wars from back in the day. And I think that would be an amazing idea. But other than that, one thing that looks really cool too is this red robot. It kind of looks like he's from Portal or something. I don't know. I wonder if
he does. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, he looks like he's from Portal or I don't know. And I also wonder if that's a practical effect or if that's a CGI robot.
That's hard to say. I know they did a lot of practical effects, so it really could be either or. I'd have to see it more in depth than just that few seconds. Because, I mean, we know BB-8 is real, so there he is right next to him.
Yeah.
It's probably CGI, though.
What's your speculation on where they're walking into? I want to hear your opinion of where this location is that you think they might be going to.
I think it's the character we were speaking about earlier. Is it Maz Kanata?
Yeah.
I think it's probably her, her stronghold or her home or whatnot.
Yeah, that could make a lot of sense.
Because Han is still going to know a lot of people in the underworld. So
yeah, I agree.
So maybe he's taking them as refugees or something, trying to hide them from the Empire while he figures out what to do with them or something.
That's a great guess, actually. I have a different theory, but that one is definitely very valid, I think. So my theory on it is I think this might actually be where the Resistance is taking a hold on this planet that they're on. I think that this must be at least in the middle-ish of the movie, middle-ish end, where Han is taking them to the stronghold where Leia is going to be at, where the Resistance is going to have their hangar, where all of their X-Wings are going to be at, and this is kind of where we're going to have that dogfight take place. So
okay.
That's what I think this scene might be implying, but just the one thing I think that's cool about it is just the pod racing flags and the Mandalorian symbol, and yeah,
It's
cool.
really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see more about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead and move on here.
They're real.
The Force. It's calling to you.
So a lot of stuff covers there, but I mean, there's really, I think that's Leia's voice speaking there.
I think so too. Yeah.
It sounds a lot like her. And we see Captain Phasma marching on in the night. Not much to her though. We don't really know anything.
No, we don't know a lot.
I think the most notable scene there is Rey is like crying over someone. Looks like someone died or something.
Yeah. There's been some speculation as to who she's crouching over.
Who do you I don't know if you want to say or.
Well, I'll go ahead and maybe drop like a spoiler warning just for people who don't want to know or don't like. This is all speculation.
Yeah, none of this is confirmed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just kind of want to give the warning for anybody who doesn't want to know. But there's kind of two theories out there, and you can skip ahead if you really don't want to know. But there are some speculations that might be Chewbacca.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if you'll pause it on one of the frames, you can kind of see what looks like it's fur, and then kind of towards the bottom right of the screen on the dead body, or he might not even be dead, honestly. It might just even be him that he's injured or something. But you can kind of see the metal, like, bullet casings going across his chest, you know? I don't know what you call that, really. That like, silver thing that goes across his chest. That's kind of one thing I noticed. And then some people are saying that might actually even be John Boyega's character after his encounter with Kylo Ren.
Oh, that's possible. Like he's hurt but not dead. Almost like Luke after his first fight with Vader.
Yeah. So those are kind of the two speculations out there. Again, I have no idea whether the person in that frame is dead or injured, but I mean, take it for what you will, I guess. You know?
I do not think it's Chewbacca. I think one thing about Star Wars that's always been the case is, yeah, it has some sad moments, but they're not going to kill off any of these characters.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
I don't know. I just don't feel like. I mean, that was something that was like Lucas felt really strong about when making the original trilogy. That everyone thought Han was going to die in Episode 6, and he's like, "No, I don't want to kill all the main characters." That's like that's not the kind of story he was trying to tell.
But that was George, and that was the original trilogy. This is new.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of theories that, like, again, if you don't want to hear any of the theories that I have about who's dying or whatever, skip ahead towards the end or so, because this is kind of the final part of the trailer. But I'll go ahead and give my opinion on that, is that a lot of people are thinking Han might die in this movie, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Because Harrison Ford has never been a fan of doing Star Wars. He definitely appreciates where he comes from, and it made him, you know, who he is today.
Right.
But he definitely isn't that big of a fan of acting in Star Wars movies, and he's come out and said that.
Yeah, he has.
So there's been speculation that he might actually die in this movie, and I subscribe to that theory. I think one of the big three might not make it out, and my money is on Han, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Since he's back in the first place, I would certainly hope that, you know, I mean, if they're going to do that, I just hope they do it right.
Yeah, I think so too. They'll definitely, they're not going to do it wrong. I mean, he's going to go, if he goes out, he's going to go out on a chariot of fire. I mean, there's no way Han's just going to, you know, disappear, you know, have this inconsequential death. So.
Right. Absolutely. No, I agree. All right, so we'll take it back through here. I'm going to play a little bit more that we'll hear some of the same stuff. Hear Leia talk again, and then we'll stop near the end here.
Okay.
The Force. It's calling to you.
And that's the biggest part right there is Finn with a blue lightsaber staring down Kylo Ren, Anakin's saber and Ren, and they're going to fight in this forest, it looks like.
Yeah. That looks like it's going to be probably one of the best fights of this maybe the only lightsaber fight of this movie.
I would say so. Yeah.
To kind of parallel with like the New Hope, where the only lightsaber battle was between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
Or to just not be, and not that this was a bad thing, but just the last thing we saw was episode 3 when there's like 14 lightsaber fights in it. So they're going to kind of go back to the classic, like, just climactic lightsaber battle.
Right.
At the end.
I think so.
And
there's one. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the one scene where we finally get to see Leia and Han sharing kind of a somber embrace.
Yeah, I wonder what that's about.
In that one scene, I don't know. Honestly, there could be any number of things that are going on in that scene. What's your take on it?
Well, if I go back real quick and look, I mean, there's so many different things that could be. You know, it depends on where it's taking place in the movie. You know, as far as because there it is right there. So I don't know. You know, maybe if your Chewie thing is right. It could be something as simple as that. But to me, it looks like it's in the same hangar area, or like area that Oscar Isaac and John Boyega brush shoulders.
Yeah,
it's like the same strip of land there. And there's a guy with an Imperial jersey behind her. I'm just curious about that. The guy behind her has an Imperial officer's jersey on, or jersey. Sorry, I was thinking about sport. I was looking at my picture of my Seahawks players here. Got a not a jersey, but a uniform, a green. It looks like a green Imperial officer's uniform with the little red and blue squares on it right behind him. It's kind of blurry, but that's what it looks like to me.
Huh. I didn't even notice that. That's interesting.
Defectors or something, you know?
Yeah, or maybe an informant.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I mean, do you have any theories about this? I don't even know.
I mean, like you said, there's so many numerous different things, and it depends on where it takes place and, you know, what the context is. It could be the death of Chewie. I certainly hope not. Like, one thing I want to make like clear too is I don't want to see the deaths of these characters by any means, but I gotta go with my gut feeling, and I'm thinking one of them's not gonna make it out alive.
If I want to watch Game of Thrones, I'll watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch Star Wars and see everybody die. Like, that's not what made Star Wars great, and I hope they don't get into this modern trend of like it's cool and hip to kill off your half your cast every single time you have have new characters. So I really hope they don't start doing that.
I agree. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, that scene could be. I mean, I'm just happy to see Leia and Han, you know, as old people in a frame of this, because it's just like, it's again going back to what I was saying about how like something happened so long ago that now you see it with this, you know, how it is today, and you have this like, I don't know, it brings out the nostalgia in you. But yeah, like I said, they could be sad about pretty much anything. I mean, it could be Han's going back out to fight the war, and, you know, Leia's kind of like, oh man, I don't know if he's going to make it out of this one, or it could be Chewie's death. It could be any number of things, really. But yeah, it's just cool to see Leia and Han kind of on the same thing again. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I can't. Oh man, there's just so many things that we could cover. It's just amazing. You know, and one little mini thing here, when they zoom out a little bit, they're still showing Finn go toward Kylo Ren here. He doesn't have his mask. Kylo doesn't have his mask on.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, his hair is. You can see his hair and everything.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool that we don't have to have like a mask-bound character all the time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we'll definitely see him without his helmet on.
Oh yeah, we already have. We've already seen a picture with him and snowtroopers, which is clearly this same planet. That still must be from this planet because it's all snowy and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. For sure.
All right, so we'll go ahead and continue this. We're just about done here with this trailer.
All right.
Just let it in.
Leia again. And then the Star Wars Force Awakens zoom out here.
Yeah.
Tickets now available and crashing websites across the web.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That is the trailer right there.
That was the trailer, man. Wow. That was Even just going through it again right now gives you goosebumps. It's crazy.
Going through it so slowly makes me want to go back after we're done with the podcast and just watch it.
Yeah, I know, right? I think I've watched it maybe like 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah,
like,
same. Oh, easily.
It's crazy. So that's kind of our impressions on the trailer, our impressions of the trailer and kind of what we thought. Any kind of finishing thoughts you want to sum up with?
You know what? No. After seeing, we've seen everything. We've gone over a lot, and I think now we're going to go into the deep quiet before the release. We're not going to hear a thing, see a thing, read a thing. Nothing's going to come out now, and it's just going to be dead silence all the way up to the release. Kind of pulling like a Fallout 4. Come out with the big
calm before the storm.
Exactly. We're not going to hear a thing until that movie comes out.
Alrighty.
How about you, Taylor? Any final thoughts you want to put on it?
No, I mean, I think I've kind of taken off I put on my tinfoil hat too much already. Went through too many theories, so I think that's where we'll conclude at least this portion of the podcast where we'll be talking about the trailer. Definitely one thing I'd like to see is if you guys please join us in the conversation wherever this gets posted. We'll be uploading this to YouTube, but I'll probably upload it onto other podcast sites, and we will go ahead and discuss it further there. So join us in the comments on what you'd like to see, what some of your theories are. I'd love to hear them, and I'll be responding to most of them myself, so please let me know. But I think this is the part where we'll go ahead and talk about a couple news stories just to kind of wrap this up. I know we're already at about an hour, so we'll go through them a little quickly. So one thing I wanted to bring up was the poster. The poster that we got looks awesome. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it. Anything that stands out to you about the new official poster that came out? Anything you'd like to talk about as far as that goes?
I just like that it's very classic. You know, every single release of Star Wars has had this kind of like collage effect to it where, you know, you just kind of have, here's pretty much the entire movie and cast and plot right in this one picture.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the only problem I have with it is that I have a huge poster. It's not even a poster. It's on my brother made it for me. He's a graphic artist, and it's actually a framed board. It's, you know, like plaster board with all of the theatrical posters 1 through 6 collaged together in a single cohesive picture. Yeah. And now this is out, and what am I going to do?
I'm sure somebody will update it. You know?
Well, I don't want to update with just 7 though, so I have to wait until 9 is out, and then I have to get another one with all 9 of the movies on there. Anyway, that was my one thing. I'm going to be outdated, but
it's Star Wars. You'll buy it. Who are you kidding? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Fuck you. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, fuck you. It's Star Wars. So, does that kind of sum up your thoughts about the poster?
Yeah, you know, I think it's just, I mean, I don't have any theories or anything. I think it's just a super fantastically put together classic thing. I think the only thing about it is obviously there's that big Death Star looking thing at the top right, which makes us a little nervous that that's what we're going to see. Other than that, though, it's, you know, the Star Destroyers look a little updated on it, which is cool. I wonder how the Star Destroyers will change in 30 years. But for the most part, I love it. Divided right down the middle between good and evil. And
yes, that was the thing I really wanted to talk about too.
Okay.
Not only the Star Killer base and us being able to see it, but one thing I noticed is that it is split right down the middle in what seems to be like good and evil.
Yeah.
Why is Rey on the left side?
And her staff is perfectly aligned with the red lightsaber too.
It is, yeah. I don't think that is a coincidence either.
And we see she goes through some serious personal tragedy. She's crying.
Yeah. So
who knows, man?
I won't go into too much about what I think about that. I obviously don't think Rey is going to be an evil character by any means, but I just thought it was kind of peculiar that if you look at the poster, she is kind of on the side where all the bad guys are.
Yep. I don't know. BB-8's over there, and the pirates there, and then we have some stormtroopers and stuff. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Oscar's character's on that side too. So
that's true. Yeah. So I guess those will just kind of be our thoughts on the poster as far as it goes. I think that, yeah, like you said, it's a classically made poster, and I think that it's got got a lot of cool things about it. So um, we'll go ahead and move on to one more little news story that we have, and I'll get your thoughts on it. So basically, the place where I get all my Star Wars Episode 7 news, anything that comes out, anything of note, I always go to StarWars7News.net. They have been awesome in putting out content as far as news about Episode 7 goes. So I want to give those guys a shout out over there. They've been definitely a help when it comes to collecting information and looking about things and staying up to date. So if you want any more news on it, I definitely suggest you go check them out. But one of the stories I got from there was that Netflix and Disney are currently trying to reach a deal to have a Netflix exclusive Star Wars show possibly coming to the streaming service. So, Ian, I'd like to get your thoughts on that. What do you think this show is going to be about? Do you think it will actually happen? And what are some things you'd like to see as far as a Star Wars show
Oh,
goes?
it's happening. It's got to happen because, I mean, Disney, ever since Disney bought Star Wars, we've had Star Wars cups, Star Wars underwear, Star Wars pens, Star Wars. You can't go anywhere without seeing some kind of Star Wars merchandise. And as soon as someone tells me, oh, yeah, I think Disney might make a Netflix Star Wars show, of course they will. Like,
Yeah.
there's no end to the amount of money that they can make off of Star Wars. And Netflix has a proven track record of making incredible shows. And it's probably cheaper than HBO, so do it. You know, I don't know what it'll be about. That's one thing I really have no thoughts on because it could cover. We already know. I mean, they're making Star Wars Rogue next year, which is a prequel to Episode 4. So they're not worried about. They'll make it in any timeline. So that I have no idea. But the thought that there will be a Netflix show with Star Wars absolutely seems true to me.
I think so too. I think it's, at least as far as it goes, I think it's definitely going to happen. I have some theories on what they could be about. My number one being, I'm pretty sure this is where they're going to have the Old Republic be set. Because it's definitely an area that they've kept under wraps in the canon. Until this point, they've kind of kept it under wraps as to whether the Old Republic is canon or not. And for those of you who don't know, canon means it's actually history to the Star Wars universe. It actually has happened as like a history book, you know. And for those of you who don't know as well, the Old Republic kind of started out as a video game universe. There was Knights of the Old Republic, I think came out in the early 2000s.
2004.
2004, that's right.
My favorite game of all time.
Exactly. And then shortly after was Knights of the Old Republic 2, which came out not long after that. And then finally we jumped to not too long ago is when they released the Star Wars The Old Republic online game, which certain parts of that are also canon to the Old Republic itself, and then others not. So it's kind of in like a gray area right now. Lucasfilm and Disney haven't really said whether or not it's canon or not. For E3 this year or last year, they showed the new expansion coming out for the Old Republic Online, and they still haven't really made it official as to whether the Old Republic is canon to the Star Wars universe or not. But I think this is perfect for a Netflix TV show, just because it doesn't really interfere with what's going on with the new movies. It's set 1,000 years or so.
4,000 years.
Yeah, some ridiculous.
The original
number.
game. The original game was 4,000 years.
Yeah, it's set a ridiculous amount of time before Episode 1 even happened. So there's not too much as far as like treading on stuff that they shouldn't be or retcons.
Yeah.
They have a completely clean slate for this universe that's just waiting to be cultivated as far as that goes. So I think that this Netflix show is definitely going to happen, and I think the Old Republic is where they're going to be situating this at. What kind of storylines would you like to see them kind of go into? If it indeed happens to be Old Republic, what are some of the things you'd like to see on an Old Republic show, Ian?
I honestly wouldn't mind seeing them make a canonized version of Revan's story. And I'm not going to spoil Revan's story. I know it's a 10, 11-year-old game at this point, but I know quite a few people who want to play it and have every intention of playing it. Just because at the time that it came out, they just didn't have the console or whatever it was, and it's on Steam now, and a lot of people want to play it. So I won't spoil the incredible story of the original Knights of the Old Republic, but I wouldn't mind them seeing, because I think that Revan is a really important character in the mythos of all the Star Wars, because he's like, I don't know, he's kind of the bridge between Darth Bane and all the other Sith before them. Like he was just as powerful as everyone else, and he almost figured it out, but he didn't quite. And we have all the changes and things. So I think that would be a really cool. You could almost make the main bad guy be your main character, at least for a moment. And I would like to see them tell the story of the original game, which I don't think will happen, but I would love to see who they would cast as Bastila and Revan and all these other characters, Malik and all that. I mean, it would just be really cool to kind of see those in my opinion, classic Star Wars characters and show them to mainstream audiences, not just gamers.
Yeah, it was, it came out in that time between, episode 3 and now, where there was nothing as far as, like, Star Wars had been frozen in time, and 6 movies were all we thought we were going to get. And I'd say the 2 biggest parts of, like, the expanded universe that really kept Star Wars going in the dark ages, I guess, where there wasn't anything really coming out, was the Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn, and the Old Republic games. I mean, those 2 were the biggest ones that kind of kept Star Wars going when nothing else really was. So I think it's an important part of the Star Wars timeline to tell, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I cannot wait. I no matter what they do with it. I think you could also make a show that shows us some of the events in the galaxy between the 30 years of 6 and now in 7.
That's true too. That's definitely a possibility. So I think that we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I know it has been definitely a lengthy podcast.
Indeed.
Being at, an hour and 15 minutes or whatever we're at now. So I think this is where we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I am Taylor, your host, and this is Ian, my co-host. And we're going to be probably doing this maybe once every 2 weeks, once every week. We'll see how the schedule goes. If you want, guys, our main line is going to be our Zero HP channel, which will be mostly gaming content for now, but we're looking to expand that. So please go ahead and like us over on Facebook at Zero HP, and also subscribe to us on YouTube. Do the big 3: like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I guess that's big 4, but you catch the drift. But yeah, go ahead and find us over there and like us over on Facebook. Do all of the essentials. Anything else to add other than that, Ian?
Not at all. You close it out, bro.
Awesome. So yeah, stick around for that. And you can also find me online at Zero HP, and then I'm also on Twitter at Taylor the Savior. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's a cool idea too. I'll post updates over there every once in a while. But other than that, thanks so much for listening and geeking out with us. And may the Force be with you.
Oh, you beat me to it, you motherfucker.
Have a good one, everybody.
Later, guys.